Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today we finally have something to talk about for Warlock. Earlier today, the Hellcaller Hero talents were unveiled for Warlock, the Affliction Destro hybrid matchup talents that we're looking at heading into 11.0 and the War Within. We've already seen Diabolus, which has been Destruction Demonology. Today is Hellcaller. The final combination, I believe, is called Soul Harvester for Affliction and Demonology, which is not out yet. It's the one I have the highest hopes for, hopefully next week or so. But today will be all about Hellcaller Warlock, what they are, my thoughts on them, breaking them down, because Hellcaller, unlike Diabolus, is actually relatively intricate, and there's more to it than meets the eye. Some quality life stuff along those lines. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so Hellcaller, the Affliction Destruction Warlock, I guess you can call it hybrid hero talents, however you're going to word it. The Diabolus one was Destruction Demonology, and it had more of a demonology feel to it, but there were some Destro elements to this. So people were assuming Hellcaller, fire, hell, fire, and brimstone, all that stuff. This build would likely be more Destro-based than Affliction, but it still feels a bit more AF-based to me than Destro. Now, sort of similar to Diabolus, it has a talent at the top, the starting capstone, whatever you want to call it, that it builds upon through other abilities. So it is called Wither. Wither replaces corruption for affliction and immolate for destruction, bestows a vile malediction upon the target, burning the sinew and muscle of its host. There's some RP flavor in there for you if you want, dealing shadow flame damage over 18 seconds. So this is basically corruption, but in a different form for affliction. For destruction, it replaces immolate. Now, there's a question off the bat here. Is it instant cast for both affliction and destruction? They clarified in a blue post here saying Cataclysm and Seed will apply Wither. So we'll get to that in a minute here. But Wither is instant cast for destruction and affliction. So off the bat, instant cast. QOL increase for destruction, no longer having a cast time like immolate does. Affliction, same thing as corruption, there's that. They have not clarified if Wither will generate soul shards for destruction. I assume it will. It would make sense. It's bad if it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure it will. So it's basically a dot, instant cast for AF and Destro. I'd assume it works with Rapture, similar to corruption with AF and all that. Heading down here, scrolling down a bit. So there are 3 abilities here coming out of this. So Zalon's Ferocity, if I mispronounced that, but who knows? Zalon, I'm not sure. Shadow damage and fire damage increased by 5%. This is similar to the one we had in the Diabolus tree towards the bottom. It's like a knob you can turn based on things being too good, too weak, buff and nerf things, I would assume, in certain trees. I think most trees have a node like that. This guy's Cruelty, whatever his name is, fire crit strike chance increased by 10%, and shadow crit strike chance increased by 10%. So, I mean, Incinerate, burn to ashes, all that kind of stuff. Shadow damage at the same time. Rapture being shadow damage, all that. Increased crit strike chance is nice. We don't know talent trees heading into War Within. If we still have, burn to ashes, if we still have other, abilities based like we have now. But regardless, crit strike increase, damage increase, sure. Sounds good. Why not? I'll take it. So the main ability here, building upon Wither. There's a lot to break down here. We're gonna get into it. I'll try and hit on each thing as far as when we go down. So Blackened Soul. Your damaging abilities further corrupt enemies affected by your Wither, increasing its stack count by 1. So Wither can stack. Now the way I assume it works is like when it's supplied baseline, it has 1 stack. It might show a stack, it might not, but it can stack past that. 2 stacks, 3 stacks, 4 stacks, similar to Agony, right? They didn't clarify if it does more damage based on the number of stacks that it has, but there are interactions with the stacks, right? So each time Wither increases, it has a chance to become acute, dealing shadow flame damage to its host every 1 second until 1 stack remains. So let's say you add a 5th stack onto it, right? By casting a damaging ability, there's a chance for it to proc, become acute, and deal damage, reducing the stack count by 1 every second until it reaches 1 again. I highly doubt that it clears the dot out. Probably just goes back to 1 stack or 0 stacks, whatever, and that's that. Wither will always become acute after reaching 8 stacks or when its host reaches 20%. So I'm assuming 8 stacks is the max, cap on Wither before it flares up becoming acute, or I guess when the target reaches 20% less health, sort of like a small execute, I would assume whenever you generate a stack, it will consume the stack instantly. I'm not really sure how it's going to work because there's some talents down below that build upon that in an awkward way, but we'll see where that goes. So it's a dot that can stack. Not sure if the stacking increases the damage of the dot until it reaches 8 stacks or becomes acute. But either way, it will stack. Has a chance to proc, becoming acute, and when it does, it'll consume 1 stack every 1 second and do Shadow Flame damage to that target. Now, the one thing I missed here is that your damaging abilities also have chances to add stacks to Wither, similar to sort of how like the staff Iridol works from End Time, or whatever it's called, Dawn of the Infinite. Your damaging abilities have a chance to do X. The staff, it reduces the cooldown of the staff, right? But damaging abilities for this can add stacks to it, so keep that in mind. Moving on here, the next row, we have, I'll go right into this because it relates to this a lot. These two are decent, but this is like important to hit on quickly. So we have 2 nodes here coming out of Blackened Soul. So Hate Fury Rituals. Wither deals 100% increased damage, but its duration is 50% shorter. This is the first node I want to hit on. This is going to feel, I think, really bad to play with Affliction, because Affliction, we haven't seen the spec tree or anything. We don't know what's happening with Siphon Life and Button Bloat and all that, but like, it's going to be a 9-second dot. It's going to be a 9-second dot to maintain essentially permanently, which is going to be a bit of a pain. We got to see where that goes. I wouldn't mind it having the same duration, maybe like ticking 50% slower, something like that. But duration reduction on it, like, is going to be very awkward. Now, it'll depend if you take Hate Fury Rituals or Bleak Heart Tactics, depending on tuning. If it does deal increased damage per stack before it becomes acute, it probably adds a lot of value to Hate Fury Rituals. I don't know. Just got to test it and see where it goes. The other option here, though, is Bleak Heart Tactics. Wither damage increased by 15%. So not 100%, but 15%. However, when Wither gains a stack from Blackened Soul, being this right here, when your abilities have a chance, to grant a stack or whatever, it has a chance to gain 1 additional stack. And technically, there's not even a chance on this. Your damaging abilities further corrupt enemies affected by your Wither. It could be a chance for us to proc, or it could be just a guaranteed whenever I hit with my Shadow Bolt or my Drain Soul or whatever, I'm Incinerate Chaos, but whatever, it will guarantee you a stack of Wither on your already active dot, right? So you have this, we're going to assume a guaranteed stack effect here, on top of increasing the damage by 15%, and also having a chance to add 1 additional stack to it. So it's sort of a give and take. Not really sure where it's going to land. It'll be a tuning thing, like a numbers thing in the long run. I don't want to maintain a 9-second dot playing any spec. I'm tired of Dread Touch, Madness windows, Doom, all this kind of like duration window, or like maintenance windows. I just want to have, I think this needs to change somehow. The damage increase is fine, but a shorter duration is going to feel really, really awkward. It won't be fun to play with. But I mean, either way, like having damage increases upon Wither, which builds upon Blackened Souls, which other things build upon here as well in a minute, there is strength behind this. I think Wither is deceptively powerful, depending on what you're doing, right? We hit on these two. Zevrim's Resilience. When you consume a health stone, you also restore 10% of your maximum health as Soul Leech. It's fine. It reminds me of the one in the Diabolus tree where like you pop it and you pop Wall and it heals you afterwards. But I want to pop Wall like preemptively to negate damage. To a similar extent, when I'm health stoning, I'm popping it after a damage event. Then it grants me a shield. It's not like it's bad. It's okay. It's fine, I guess. It seems like it's a bit. It's not as good as it may seem, because that shield you want essentially before the damage is taken, but at the same time you're stoning afterwards. So, gotta see where it goes. Ilhuv's design, sacrifice 10% of your maximum health. Soul Leech now absorbs an additional 15% of your maximum health. This is a lot of extra Soul Leech. I thought this was a button you hit like Dark Pact initially. I believe this is just passive. You sack 10% of your health to be able to generate 15% additional Soul Leech. Now, THD brought up in things that Soul Leech is not always full very often in raiding and whatever, what have you. We'll see where it goes, honestly. I mean, sacking 10% of your health is a decent bit, but at the same time, we're pretty tanky in the first place. If they buff Soul Leech or make it worthwhile, where you can actually, maintain that, 15% plus, I believe, baseline 10% shield, could be worthwhile. But once again, got to see where it goes. Both might be a little underwhelming, depending where it lands. But either way, there's hidden potential. Now, over here, this node is actually really interesting, and one that I think might be like the best in the tree. I'm like, putting aside the interactions with Wither and stuff, right? Mark of the Lagashi. Curse of Tongues also applies to or weakness applies tongues. Whatever. You put up weakness and tongues is applied to. In certain spots, it'll be decent, I guess. There's been some fights that might have been relevant in PvE. PvP might be okay too, certain classes. I don't know. It seems fine either way. Typically, you can just apply one or the other, and one's more important than the other, but I will see where it goes. It's fine either way. The thing I like, though, Aura of Enfeeblement. So, enemies within 10 yards are affected by your Curse of Weakness and Curse of Tongues at 75% effectiveness. Now, also, I'm curious how this works with Amplified Curse, if it's still around in the class tree. This sounds very good. Now, my question here is, the wording is odd. I've seen both sides of it. I don't know where it's going to land, but so enemies within 10 yards. Does that mean 10 yards of the player or 10 yards of the mob you curse? Enemies within 10 yards are affected by your Curse of Weakness and Curse of Tongues at 75% effectiveness. Now, your might imply like the curse you cast on a mob, but it could just be an aura you let off as a player, right? Not really sure. It's interesting because, I mean, Tongues has been very relevant this patch, and plus, every patch has been relevant. This patch has been very relevant on a lot of mobs. And if you're making these large pulls, Mythic Plus, like pulling 2, 3, 4 packs at the same time, having the ability to just go, Tongues this thing, and they're all tongues. Or, even weakness on big pulls, you don't need tongues, right? Weakness, mass weakness, is actually insane. That's big utility. And if it's around you within 10 yards, well, it might be a melee warlock. I would venture to guess it's likely just the mob you curse has like a 10-yard aura around it, where it's like a curse everything around it. But either way, on some pulls where I'm putting out 3 or 4 Curse of Tongues and a weakness or 2, this is going to feel great. This is great. Huge utility. Gonna feel really good. I'm excited about it. So I want some clarification on it to see where it goes. But yeah, I'm pumped, right? So moving on to the final row here. Start over here. This is the other talent, which I guess, hero talent, which I think needs to, likely just be looked at and changed. So it's Mark of Xavius. Agony for Affliction, Wither for Destruction, damage increased by 10%. Agony is now a combo skill. So I would venture to guess combo skill means it can do multiple things. Directly recasting Agony within 2 seconds applies Agony to one other nearby enemy. So I would venture to guess this is here to try and make multi-dotting and refreshing agonies like an AoE, Mythic Plus, and things a bit easier. Instead of having to go like Vial Taint, Unpull, and refresh 5 agonies at once, you can go like, Vial Taint, whatever, then refresh an agony, and then like, maybe tab an agony to a different target, it refreshes 2 at the same time. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it's like smart refreshing where it'll always refresh a low duration agony or a random one. I don't know if you need to refresh on the same target 5 times. I'm not really sure. But I feel like even when it comes to council-based fights, it's not really that relevant. Like spread council fights. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of a fight where it's relevant this time around. Like Council of Dreams. Honestly, like, depending on the radius and things, I can just manually do it too, right? I could be wrong. I feel like Mark of Xavius is trying to fix the issue with Vial Taint, Agony applications, and plus expiring between Vial Taints. But it's just not... We should just reduce the duration of Vial Taint or the cooldown, right? Like we're trying too hard to make this, to alleviate the issue when the answer's right in front of us, right? Just make Vial Taint a shorter duration, right? The cooldown, make it a shorter duration. That's it, or some other way to mass apply Agony, be fine, right? To a similar extent, Destruction, Wither, which is replacing Immolate, now directly applies Wither to another target. So put up Wither on one target, it'll apply to other ones. Wither's instant cast for Destruction, so there's that. Sort of how Immolate is, but instant cast. I just feel like this would be much better. I don't design the class, obviously. I don't know. I'm probably in the wrong here. I feel like it'd be a lot better if it was just like, Agony, 10% increase. Wither for Destro, 10% increase. Vial Taint's cooldown reduced by 13 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. Cataclysm's cooldown reduced by 10 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. Problem solved. No need to like jump through hoops and dot this and tab target here and, whim wham this. Just reduce the cooldowns, the abilities to apply them in AoE, and just move forward, right? We've been trying so hard to fix this Vial Taint, duration issue with cooldowns and Cataclysm and like CDF. Just make it like, make them shorter cooldowns, and we can stop jumping through hoops. Because like Shadow Priest can throw out a Shadow Crash. They're all applied and having a great time, but I gotta like tab target things, re-agony this, watch durations here. Let's just hit Vial Taint with a shorter cooldown, hit Cataclysm, Shorter cooldown, problem solved. We're done. But besides that, I mean, damage increases are fine. I don't really see it being incredibly relevant anywhere. I mean, it'll be okay to like redot and plus between battle tanks, I guess, but it just sounds like another headache in a sense. You know, being as nice as possible. Besides that, though, moving on. So, Call of the Week. Casting Wither directly or refreshing Wither with less than 4 seconds remaining, so basically Pandemic in a sense, causes Wither to gain 3 stacks. So, if CDF is still around with Raging Demon Fire for like Immolate extensions and AoE by a Cataclysm and all that, you can basically, you know, have like pretty much, you know, like mass Wither 3 application stacks granted whenever you recata to catch those Immolates that are falling. At the same time, in single target, it'll grant you a stack, or 3 stacks whenever you reapply it within Pandemic. So a lot of stack management here from Call of the Week, from Bleakheart Tactics, from your abilities doing damage in the first place, and just, you know, yeah, everything being combined here. So you can see how it comes together pretty well. RNG in Bleakheart Tactics, but depending on the power of where this lands, because over here as well, Blackened Soul deals 5% increased damage per stack of Wither, right? So this, once again, more damage, Bleakheart Tactics, Mark of Purathorn, or whatever this is here. Bleakheart granting more stacks. At the same time, Ritual just granting a shorter duration, but more damage. Gotta see where it lands. At the same time, Agony and Wither do damage 10% faster. Now, I'm hoping it's like implemented and coded in a way where it's 10% faster means more often. Thinking back how old Creeping Death was, where we had 10% faster initially, the duration was 10 seconds shorter. But they changed it to being a tick rate, I guess the tick rate being 10 seconds faster. If that's the case, this is sick. If it's like old Creeping Death where it's 10% shorter, I mean, it's only 1 dot, I guess. That's what it is. But like 10% faster, meaning a faster tick rate, but same duration, be sick. That's cool. This is fine. I don't really mind it. It's a little like bland, I guess, but at the same time, whatever, you know. So that was a throat clearing, by the way. And the final ability here, which Call of the Week, Bleakheart, Hate Fury, Blackened Soul, Wither all feed into, right? It is basically a 1-minute baby Dark Soul. So dark magic erupts from you and corrupts your soul for 20 seconds. So a 20-second duration, 1-minute cooldown, causing enemies suffering from your Wither to take Shadow Flame damage and increase its stack count by 3. So once again, more stack counts, even more. This thing is going to be stacking so often, right? For Affliction, while corrupted, your active Withers are acute, so meaning they're doing their, you know, 1 second, 1 stack loss per second increased damage thing, which is up here, somewhere in here. Yeah, there you go. 1 second. And it guarantees you 3 stacks, basically, regardless. Your haste is increased by 10%. Old Dark Soul for Affliction was 30, but 10, it's something we'll take out, I guess. And Malefic Rapture, still here. If you didn't like Rapture, I'm sorry. If you did, well, hey, you know, I'm just a messenger. Grants 1 additional stack of Wither to targets affected by your Unstable Affliction. Now, there's an interesting wording here. Targets, as in plural. I'm venturing to guess it's plural because of the PvP talent. The PvP talent, it's like Unstable or Unending Affliction, something like that, where you can spread 3 UAs at once. There's a chance it means you can spread UA in, you know, PvE, like multiple UAs, but I would venture to guess it's there from the PvP talent. I can't talk today, and why it's worded like that. But we'll see what happens. Destro, same thing. They become acute, so they're doing their pulsing damage. Your haste is up by 10%, and Chaos Bolt grants 1 stack of Wither. Now, I wish this was Chaos Bolt or Rain of Fire. Because typically, I would assume Kata's around, which it is. We know it from the Diabolus tree. You're going to be playing Kata, possibly likely in Plus, and just settings in general. It'd be cool if that Kata you cast that apply all these Immolates, or all these Withers, you can increase all their stacks, you know, by essentially, you know, 1 whenever you cast a Rain of Fire. But it would sort of make sense as well that Rapture is here in single target, likely having 1 UA max in PvE. If that's the case, and to a similar extent, Chaos Bolt, unless you're Havocing it, it's also 1 stack. More of a single target emphasis. But keep in mind, this is a 1-minute cooldown, not 2 minutes. It's a 1-minute cooldown. So in Plus, you're going to have this for basically every pack. You're going to have it quite often. Every minute you get this, the Shadow Flame pulsing damage from them going acute. a haste increase, and a rapture or bolt with increased damage. So when you factor in Malevolence, with Cold a Week, with Mark of Perlaflian, whatever, Bleak Heart Tactics, Hate Fury Rituals, Blackened Soul, the RNG of Blackened Soul, and all this combined, you're going to have a lot of Withers pulsing, being acute, doing a lot of damage pretty quickly. Now, they also clarified earlier, like I said, Seed of Corruption and Kata will apply Wither, which is great. We assumed if they didn't, it'd be terrible. They apply it, so you can have that AoE Wither through Kata and through Seed. Now, a couple more questions besides that. We're not sure the state of Siphon Life and Absolute Corruption in the world, and I guess in the AF spec tree. If they're still there and share a node, how does Wither work with Absolute Corruption? Not sure. Gotta see where that goes. I doubt it's permanent, but hey, I mean, who knows? It might actually be. The chances are high if Siphon Life's still there, you're still playing Siphon Life. Amp Curse, obviously, like we said. Amp Curse is a War of Implement. Is it on you or the curse you cast? But yeah, I mean, like, honestly, this tree is a lot more in-depth than the Diabolus tree was. The Diabolus tree is more just like, yo, we're going to summon a big demon with this Doom brand. It's going to be a Pit Lord or a Mother of Imps or whatever, or something else. And when they spawn, they do X, Y, or Z. Big damage, they're gone. That's it. This tree builds upon itself a lot through, once again, Blackened Souls, Hate Fury, Bleak Heart, Cold Weak, Malevolence, all that stuff. And honestly, like, it is another button to hit for Destro or AF. We don't know where trees are going to land. Maybe Siphon Life's gone. Maybe you can put that in that keybind spot. But I think, like, the more I've read through it, I like Diabolist more, thematically, flavor-wise. It feels like an Affliction tree, like, through and through. There are some Destro things here and there, I guess, but, like, this feels like a Destro tree. Or, sorry, like an AF tree. Not really a Destro tree. And the weird thing is that Diabolist feels like a Demo tree, and that means both trees here have, like, at least to me, more Demo elements and more AF elements in the Destro section of the hero, build here overall. Hellcaller implied to me more like maybe we're buffing Chaos Bolt more, some fire spells coming back, some big fire balls are throwing out, but it's more a dot. It does replace Immolate. It'll make life a little easier in certain spots, but if you're looking for big fire damage and stuff, might not necessarily be the case. We'll see where it goes. I don't think it's like overhaul worthy or anything. It's fine. I think it's decent. I think it is deceptively powerful. We have to get PTR on, I guess, alpha beta and test it out and see where it lands. But I think people will be generally happy with it once it hits, having Malevolence around and things. Mark of Xavius just needs to be changed. I think this is just trying too hard to make like dot interactions and refreshes and AoE work. Just make it a shorter duration on Vile Taint, shorter duration on Cataclysm. And to a similar extent, Hate Fury Rituals, having a 9-second Corruption, basically having a 9-second Wither for AF or Destro is going to feel really awkward, especially AF when you're juggling, assuming Agony, Corruption, or Wither. Siphon Life, Unstable Affliction, Phantom Singularity or Vile Taint, Shadow's Embrace, Haunt, Dread Touch, Rapture Stacks, the Soul Rot. I'm like 10 things already. Like it's gonna be too much. So maybe some way keep the damage increase, but like make it so it's, it ticks like 30% slower, where it's still a gain, and like similar to Bleak Heart Tactics, but not a short duration. Shorter duration and dot-based classes just don't feel very good, at least in my opinion. But overall, I like the tree a decent bit. I like Diabolus a bit more, thematically, flavor-wise, all that. This feels like an AF tree to me. But what I'm also really curious about is we have Soul Harvester left. Diabolus felt relatively Demonology-esque, right? More Demo than Destro. It worked for both. But I'm wondering if they are making trees a bit more towards one end of the spectrum, being AF, Demo, Destro, whatever. Is Soul Harvester going to be more Affliction or Demonology-based? It implies Soul Harvester more Affliction-based, but this tree also feels pretty Affliction-based. So I give it a 7 out of 10, but TBD, depending on where tuning's at and where like interactions with Wither, all that kind of stuff, depending where, Xavius goes, Hate Fury Rituals, and all that goes. But I think it's pretty solid and looks to be, I think it'll be cool when we get to play with it. Thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. Hopefully, if you had any questions about Hellcaller or anything like that, this video will answer all those questions for you. Like I said, I think it's a pretty cool hero talent tree. I like Diabolist more, but I think Hellcaller is really in-depth, man. It's simple and linear, but also a lot of interaction, some RNG. Got to get in game and just see where it all lands. I'd venture to guess some things do still change in this tree. I hope Xavius's agony spreading thing changes. I don't want to maintain a 9-second corruption or wither as affliction or destro, to be fair, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, Diabolus was sick. Hellcaller is solid. Soul Harvester, the AF destro tree, is what I'm really pumped for. I want to see where that goes. Like I said, this tree, Hellcaller, feels AF based, and if Soul Harvester is also sort of AF based, well, it's gonna be interesting. So, like always, if you guys want any weak cores or add-ons that I use, links to Twitch and Discord down below in the video description if you want any of that stuff. At the same time, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for in the video. We're also part on Patreon, guys, especially right now with the game being slow and things. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. And like I said, I really appreciate it. It allows me to keep making content for you guys, and yeah, thank you for all the support. So. Now, I'd venture to guess Alpha's hitting probably within a month or so. We have a patch date for 10.2.6, which is next Tuesday, the 19th or something like that. I don't know when it is. Next Tuesday, either way. And they said S4 will hit several weeks after 10.2.6, but we know that Alpha is coming before S4 hits, so I would venture to guess somewhere like mid-August, early to mid-August. But it could, I mean, it could be as short as like 2.5 weeks. We're getting close. There are some trees left to be unveiled. Soul Harvester for Warlock. Besides that, I mean, we had 12 today. We're getting close. And they said they want to have all the trees unveiled before Alpha hits. And, well, you know, most of them are out. So next week after, whenever, if we have more talents and Soul Harvester is out, I'll make a video on it as well as, you know, stream it live. If you want to check it out, link down below and stuff. But, yeah, all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. And I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.